Okay, first of all, the idea is probably Mozart saw in colour, because you get this idea that even people at an old folks home when they're in their 80s or something, if you show them a blue card, they're not going to say it's yellow, green, red, or purple or orange, because you think they're a bit strange in the head. If they hardly ever get a colour wrong, and remembering colour is quite easy. The other thing is that when you hold up certain colours like yellow greens and things like that, when it's dark it looks more green than yellow, and when it's things like with orange yellow, things like that, in a darker room it will look more orange than yellow, if you understand what I mean. So, because apparently the anecdotal evidence for Mozart, he never hit a wrong note in his entire life. So, I mean, you've got to give the man his due. I mean, that probably is true. So, we got this idea, we got this Mozart Rosetta Stone sitting there. It basically can occupy up to 10 to 12 notes, basically the whole octave, all the notes of the octave. And basically it's got this trick idea of Mozart where you can go from minor going up, a major going down sort of thing, which would explain why Mozart, of all the composers, seems to do this sort of trick a lot. Seems he'll play something and then he almost like goes into the opposite. He'll go from like major into minor or minor into major, and it almost sounds like he's going into the opposite, because it's probably because what he is. He's probably searching for the same colours, but in the flip, or the Liverpool shuffle, when you turn the cards up the other way, black becomes white, white becomes black. And this is what I'm going through here to try and find the opposites. Because if we come up with a coloured keyboard or the idea, it's got to work both negative, positive. As you go from the major to the minor, minor to the major sort of idea. He's got to be able to do this trick of Mozart. Otherwise see, so I'm going through like lemons are yellow, they go to this sort of turquoisey blue. But it's a bit more subtle than that, because you can see it's not just solid blue, is it? And then they go like through oranges. Well, what colour does orange go to? And so we'll flip orange. What does orange go to? We'll see in a minute. Because I want this to be like an unbiased account. I mean, I might say it's one thing, but you should be able to see and do this yourself in your part of the world and check out whether what I'm saying is true or not. See, that also goes to a tie for blue. See, it's a little bit more subtle than that. So yellow goes to a sort of blue, and orange can go to a sort of blue. Now we've got this other idea, this other concept, that when you do this flip, if you've got a continuous run of colours, when you flip them they become discontinuous, which is quite an interesting concept when you compare it to maths, because maths has this concept of continuity and discontinuity with equations and things like that. So yeah, now we got to limes, which is a green, and it should go to some sort of purple if I'm right. We'll see that in a minute. So this is your standard lime green. That's why it's called lime green, of course. Let's go. Now we go. It's some sort of purple, but it's not quite just purple. Sometimes it can get to like a magenta-y colour. And now there's a blue there, you see, so you know what's going on. It's more subtle than you think it is. It's a lot harder than you think it's going to be. So that's the thing. I'm wondering whether or not I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm going to be approaching the problem from both sides, both directions, both from colour, this negative positive idea, and from the Mozart Rosetta Stone idea, and other sequences I also already know. I can check those out as well. So I mean, it's got to work for everything. It can't just be it just works for this thing only and doesn't work for. It has to work for everything. It has to do the lot. And I mean, this then ultimately will be a check on Mozart, whether it'll be like a fingerprint of Mozart. You'll be able to go through every single work of Mozart, and if it follows the coloured keyboard, assuming we get to a coloured keyboard eventually, assuming once we get to that, we'll be able to go through all the works of Mozart and see whether they all match the keyboard. If they do, well then there you go, that's your answer, that's your QED moment, I suppose. And so that means anyone who'll be able to play Mozart, that means you'll be able to actually have new Mozart just by using the coloured keyboard to generate new Mozart, if that's the way he was doing it, sort of thing. So that's the bonus. The after the QED bonus is if that is true, then you'll be able to get some of these super mainframe computers to generate new Mozart. So we can generate another 626 works. Well, that's actually more than that. Most people don't realise that that's the standard set. But he wrote another at least 100 and a bit more of partially completed works. People don't realise that. I mean, he had his wacko jacko days, like on Fantasy 394. He was having a wacko jacko day. Have you heard that one? That's so out there. It's all like, whoa. Is that black or white? I mean, yeah. And then you had, your Ironicline and art music, but most people don't realise he wrote a lot of other pieces that also have a little bit of night this, a little bit of night that in it. And again, implying that he would write things at night time differently to the way he would write in the day. And it's got this negative positive idea, because I don't know if you ever noticed this, when you blink your eyes, the colours go opposite. So, see, that's another thing. Did anyone note down during the lifetime of Mozart whether he blinked or not? That's an important point for me. If I can find some sort of anecdotal evidence that he didn't blink, or he seldomly blinked, then that's another real, that would separate him out from, see, most people blink, don't they? But some people don't blink. So that's another key point I would like to find. If anyone's a historian on Mozart,